This is Colin O'Keefe for LXBN TV. As we continue our ongoing coverage of LegalTech New York 2012, I'm here with Aaron Schoenherr, whose company in 2012 just recently released a report on social media use by in-house counsel. Aaron, starting off, why was this research done in the first place? How did you guys get this idea to do this?
Yeah, we do a lot of work with the marketing departments of law firms, and so back in 2010, we sort of realized that nobody had ever asked the question. A lot of law firms are struggling with how actively they should be using social media and what resources they should be providing to the mechanisms, but no one had asked the question of in-house counsel to what extent they're using these networks. And so we partnered with the Zeughauser Group and Inside Counsel to literally ask the question, put a survey in front of in-house counsel. We had over 300 responses and found some interesting things about their use and their engagement in these social media networks.
Very interesting. You know, starting with LexBlog's base of expertise, how popular is blog use and blog readership amongst in-house counsel?
Yeah, blogs are a very important tool, and that was true in 2010 when we first conducted the research, and it's true again in 2012 in this year's research. I have some stats here for you that I'll read off. You know, we found that blogs are an important influencer in in-house counsel's decision to hire outside law firms. 76% say they attribute some level of importance to blogs. They're reading them actively. They issue a high level of credibility to blogs as well as an information source. And interesting, this year, it was a new question that we asked. We found that in-house counsel slightly prefer lawyer-authored blogs, attorney-authored blogs, as much or even slightly more than they prefer professional media-driven blogs, your Wall Street Journal law blog, blogs of that nature, which we thought was really interesting and speaks to the platform.
That's very interesting to hear. Of course, you know, blogs are more of a standalone publication when it comes to social media, but let's look at these social networks. Which are most popular among in-house counsel?
So we asked that question in two different ways. We asked them what networks they're using personally, and we got the result you might expect. They're using Wikipedia for personal reasons. They're using Facebook for personal reasons. Professionally, the top three are, of course, blogs, as we've discussed. Also, LinkedIn. That ranked as the highest. It has a high level of credibility with this group. It also is heavily used by this group, along with Wikipedia as well. And Wikipedia was interesting. We found that 51% are using Wikipedia to conduct research on business issues. It's a primary source for them. 87% are using it to conduct research on issues of personal interest, but they're not going necessarily to the Wikipedia entries on their outside law firms. They're not engaged at that level, which I know is something that a lot of law firms tend to struggle with.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we see even on our blogs, is that they'll say, you know, why is nobody coming to my blog via search, via my name, or via my practice area lawyer and attorney? Well, it's because they're looking for the topics first and foremost and the information as opposed to the people. You know, but moving past that, you know, obviously we see in a general perspective how big social media is getting and the use of social media. But, you know, do you gather information on how prevalent social media is used just, you know, among the general population?
Well, it was interesting. In 2010, when we did this research, we found that there was a generational divide, that the 30 to 40-year-olds were much more active on these networks than their counterparts who were 40 plus, 50 plus, or 60 plus in those age groups. This year we found kind of a leveling off. We saw a really slight decrease in use by the 30 to 40-year-olds. They're still the most active users from a generational perspective, but we saw a lot more use among the 40 to 50-year-olds and the 50 plus generations. They've sort of amped up their use of these networks. They're starting to see the value of reading blogs, of using tools like LinkedIn, which we thought was really interesting because those are, you know, obviously the decision makers in many cases and the people that these law firms want to be reaching.
I see, and not to always bring it back to LexBlog, but LexBlog, you know, the lawyers always want to see the direct results, of course. They want to say, hey, if in-house counsel is looking at my blog, how do I know that? Is there really any way to know that, though, that the in-house counsel are coming and checking out their social media sites?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. In the consumer marketing environment, there's a lot of talk about engagement and ROI and different metrics that can be used to measure how effective your social media programs are. With this research, we found that one of the key themes is that in-house counsel are what we would call invisible users of social media. They're not actively engaging on these networks. You won't see a lot of comments from them on blogs. They don't necessarily actively follow a Twitter feed, but they do read it. And one of the quotes that we got in our verbatims, I think, pretty much sums up this point, where a respondent said, you know, I use social media daily, mostly as an observer and consumer rather than as a contributor. And I think that pretty much sums it up in terms of you may not be able to measure engagement directly, but these individuals are certainly out there and are certainly active users of social media platforms.
Absolutely. You know, I think that's sometimes lost on people because there's so many people out there who use social media more as a tool just to watch the news, to monitor things. You know, even though engagement is best, there are people out there who are lurkers who just want to see the information and use that how they will. You know, once again, this is Aaron Schoenherr of Greentarget, right?
Exactly.
For more video interviews with LegalTech presenters, exhibitors, attendees, and the like, be sure to check out lxbn.lexblog.com. Thank you, Aaron.
All right, thank you.